Alright, this is my hard-ass collection of NES games. Today I'm all about the EverDrive, and I've never been like a collector, like just collect stuff to collect it. I was collecting it to play it. But back in 2012, 2013, I was all about getting hard games and playing through them and stuff. And so I've got them. I've got some pictures here. I have a crappy camera. I didn't want to do any like live action videos or whatever. But we got some pictures here. And so let's just run through them real quick. It's like a reminiscent of my tortured childhood or whatever. This right here is my list of, the first picture is like the hardest shit I've done. And I've got it like, left to right hardest, in my opinion. And it's like, don't take this as like objective difficulty. This is the stuff that I personally had trouble with. By far the hardest game I've ever beaten, period, is Akari Warriors. To do that shit without the code is it's freaking stupid. You have to draw out maps, plan enemies, and all of this other, just figure out all this where the secrets are, and it's just annoying as hell. That game sucks, and it should never be played unless you got shit to prove, I guess. This is Ninja Gaiden's one of my favorite games ever. I really liked it. I didn't like it as a kid because as a kid you just you get to like level 2 or whatever, and it's like impossible. You just get your shit kicked in. But I fell back in love with it, and like years later, it just played it and played it and played it and played it. And I think that was the game that kind of put me on this trend of just playing hard games, get the challenge out of it. This game, Ikari Warriors, took me like 50-something hours to plan out and beat. I don't know, on Ninja Gaiden, I played it for like weeks. I would just play it for 20 minutes a day or whatever. Battletoads, this game, it's just pure freaking misery, dude. It's like pure misery. It took me something like 20 hours to beat it. I'd beaten it on Game Genie way back in the day. The thing that really makes this game hard is the trial and error, not knowing how to do the levels and stuff. And just when you don't get infinite continues. If this game had infinite continues, the difficulty would be justified, and it would be way down the list. But, when you get brutally killed after you've been playing for 40 minutes, and you go back to level 1, start to get your one-up mans and all that other stuff again, you have to redo everything perfectly again, with just perfect frame bullshit. Yeah, Battletoads is not I wouldn't consider a good game or fun. I mean, some people I'm sure think it's fun, but it isn't. They're wrong. Solomon's Key was dude, this game will be way up there if you don't have a walkthrough to help you get through it, because it has like 50 levels or whatever, and it's a bunch of puzzles, and it's also like super precision, shit's happening, all kinds of stuff happens, and you need to like see in advance how to do it, and it has a unique gameplay loop that you're not used to. Solomon's Key is very hard, and I got keyed into it. I learned about it from people, talking about what games are harder than Battletoads, and a lot of people said Solomon's Key. I personally just used a walkthrough, and I didn't save the maximum Princess Super ending, so I don't consider it harder than Battletoads. To do that game without any walkthrough info or any help, yeah, probably. It's brutal. And then after a certain, I think there's like a continue code or whatever, but it quits working after a certain, after you go so long. So it's like you could use the continue code to help you learn a certain amount of levels, and then there's like the last 6 or 7 like super hard levels, the continue code wouldn't work. You'd just be fucked. Ghosts and Goblins is stupidly hard. It's stupidly hard. What the only saving grace about it is the checkpoints aren't that far away. You only have to play for a minute or two before you reach the next checkpoint. That game sucks, dude. It's probably better in arcade. Micronix or some cheap ass dev company ported it to Nintendo. Capcom didn't port it, and it plays like shit. It has a terrible frame rate, and it's a really popular game because it was fairly early in the NES release. But dude, it's not very good. But it's brutally hard, especially since particularly with being Ghosts and Goblins, the expectation is for you to beat it twice. While most games these days that would be considered a new game plus, so you don't have to beat it twice. Nope. Ghosts and Goblins, you gotta beat that shit twice. Ninja Gaiden 3 took me about 10 hours. I had to pay a decent amount of money. I don't know what it costs these days. I paid like $30 for it, like a good old 7 or 8 years ago. Dude, that game is really fun. I just thought it was like Fat Ryu, and it was the laughing stock of the Ninja Gaiden. The Ninja Gaiden 2 looks better, has much better sound, but I really like 3 a lot. What makes 3 so hard is you don't have unlimited continues like the other ones. I think you got like 5 continues, so you better be damn good. So a lot of people would consider that Ninja Gaiden 3 should be up here above the first Ninja Gaiden, but I'd played so much of the original Ninja Gaiden that I didn't have as much trouble with 3. Iron Sword, there's a couple things going on wrong here. First of all, if you're taking passcodes down, there's some kind of glitch or whatever. It like locks the amount of men you got. So if you take a passcode down when you have like 1 man left, when you go back and put your passcode in, you only have 1 man. And I think it's like so you lose all your continues and all that shit your game would normally have. There's a trick. One of the letters, I remember you changed to N or something like that in your passcode, and we'll put you back to 3 men. It's kind of like hacking your own code, but the game's glitched out. Which is one of the reasons why it's hard, and it has one of the hardest final bosses, period, ever. Castlevania 3 is by far harder than Castlevania 1. Castlevania 2 is not hard at all. Took years to beat. You have to be so precise. Trevor is such a slow ass. And, as you get further in the game, it's, 4 hits and you're dead. And it's absolutely brutal. Silver Surfer has a terrible reputation. I mean, it's far earned it. It's not as hard as people make it out to be. It's pretty damn hard, though. You need to memorize the entire game. That's the best way to do it. And just not die. If you not die, you get a bunch of power-ups that makes it easier. Now, Spelunky is just, good God, it's brutal shit. Terrible. It's fucking god-awful. It controls the jumps control like shitballs. And you would have to figure out the crazy precise jumps that you need to do to keep your character alive. Because the game was just design busted. They didn't design the jump very well. That's the only reason it's really hard. But I got it right here in my top 10 of any hardest. Well, this is the games that I have. I would consider Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. I don't have that. Would probably be up here somewhere. But it's Spelunky is shitballs. It's like one of the first major games to be, the Japanese term is Kosoge. The Japanese love Spelunker. And that's one of the reasons why Spelunky is, designed the way it is to be so brutal and unfair because of the memories of Spelunker. This is my, top 10 hardest games that I own. Okay, so I got like the B tier coming up. Alright. Star Voyager is pretty damn difficult. There's a lot of randomness to it how the map's set up and how you're getting attacked by the enemies. You have to find a super laser, which is in random locations, and the randomness makes it hard. And then trying to figure out how to shoot the little damn stupid TIE fighter bastards is tough. You can figure it out once you get super laser, and there's a lot of precision, pixel perfect damn tap into the buttons to hit the guy. Just no one knows how to play it hardly. That's what makes it hard. I think that when I made this, I did a playthrough for it, and I might have been at the time the only person that had a YouTube run through of the game. It's not very good. It's shit. Ninja Gaiden 2, actually, when I sat down and to play through it, I'd already been through Ninja Gaiden 1 a lot, and then I might have done 3 as well, whatever. Well, I went through Ninja Gaiden 2 in about 2.5 hours. I'd previously owned the game back in the day, and then I'd beaten with Game Genie as well. But the Ninja Gaiden 2, graphically and from story-wise, that's the best one. It belongs in anybody's collection. Just whether you're gonna play it or not, it's a different story. And then Mega Man, first Mega Man. The other Mega Mans are not that hard. 4's pretty hard. 3's decently hard. Mega Man 1 is a shit asshole. Not only you don't have any passcodes to save up to Dr. Wily or whatever, or as you beat a robot you get a passcode, so you have to beat the whole game in one go. It's just really hard, and at the end of the game they have you a gauntlet of robot masters to fight with hardly any power-ups or something to keep you going. And it's a little bit of the hit detection's a little wonky. It's still a good game, but it's rough, man. It's rough. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is considered to be by the angry video game nerd to be the hardest game ever, whatever. It's not. It's just it's really bad. It's terrible to play. And then like you have to figure out the weird kooky mechanics between Jekyll and Hyde, and how to you don't want to get Jekyll too far ahead. You don't want to get Hyde too far ahead. You have to switch back and forth between them. It's bizarre. And there's one part toward the end where you're Dr. Jekyll. It's like the last level. It's really, really hard because there's changes in the Japanese from the Japanese version and made this unfortunately too hard. You have to kind of jump at a weird angle at a certain time when the bomb guys get on the screen and try to inch forward before the next bomb guy. It's one of those games where you can get past it if you understand the quirkiness of it. Bayou Billy is just dog shit. It's god awful to play. It gives you diarrhea, and God, it has pretty good music, but the double dragon type combat is really bad. The driving's bad, and the shooting's okay, but you have to you gotta tightly conserve your hit points and your whips and your items, and try to take a maximum advantage of how the stupid enemies, because they have like goofy amounts of hit points. I don't never want to play it again. It's really hard. It's god awful, but I beat it relatively easy. Dr. Jekyll took me about 6 hours, by the way. 8 Eyes, my dad beat that, and I ended up following him as a kid and beating it. But dear God, it's really rough. I think many people who played it's like, man, this is harder than Castlevania. I don't know about that. You need to go through and play 8 levels, and they kind of like you get an up. It's almost like Mega Man, but without the powers. So if you beat like the Arabia level, whatever, you might be strong against the German level, but there's no real knowledge. You have to kind of build up your own knowledge about that shit. It's cryptic. Not a lot of people have played it, but it's kind of like Castlevania, but with Mega Man levels, with no Mega Man power-ups. And so you have to figure out the order to do the levels in, and you have to beat the last area. The bosses in this game are really rough. They try to I think they try to design it to be like a fencing game. That's what their thought process was. So just you have to like kind of stab and move away. But there isn't much like there's not like a roll or anything. And so they're trying to make a sword combat game in just 2D. It just doesn't work. It's just bad. Blaster Master was just it's so damn long. That's what was really hard about Blaster Master. And there's no password. Had this have a password or a battery save, Blaster Master, I think, would be even further up. I mean, a lot of people love this game, but I think it would be, in most people's top 20 had you had a way to save your data, because it's just a long-ass game. And you have, at the end of the day, you have limited continues, and the bosses are really hard. And you, can hold down, a lot of people don't know this, is that you could hold down the grenade button A. I think it was A. It was whatever button it was. You could hold down the grenade button and strafe left and right and shoot up or whatever at the bosses. And so you didn't have to go up there and shoot them and run away. You could just strafe at them, and that's actually how you fight the bosses. But until you learn that, you were just going to die. 1943 is pretty damn hard. Not only do your ship powers up if you find hidden haystacks as through the levels, and I think there's like 20 something levels. You're going to need to find all of the haystacks by shooting at them wherever they are, and then it kind of follows the arcade, but it kind of doesn't. Like, it gets really hard, or I don't know, well, level 12 or 13 or whatever it is. And then it's like, for some reason, they make you go back through the levels you've already done pretty much again, just slightly more difficult. And so, like, you go to sort of like 12 of them might be really hard, and 13's like easy. And then it gets like back up to the 20s where it gets hard again. So it's like balanced really weird. But you got to get all of the damn power-ups that are hidden in the level. And dude, that last level where you're going up against the Yamato, and it's like just a gauntlet of boss ships and shit. It's so hard. It's so rough. Ninja Turtles is considered really hard. I think had this game had passwords or something, it would be much easier. It's such a long game. You get through that dam with all of your turtles just with like no life at the end, and then you have to rebuild at level 3. By the time people, rebuild your stuff by collecting pizzas and stuff, by the time that people do all that, they're pretty much done with the game. And so hardly anyone's seen levels 4 through 6 or whatever it is. The Technodrome is kind of like the Great Palace in Zelda 2, where there's like multiple ways to go, but there's a preferred way, there's an easier way, and so you kind of like play it and get to the end, and you get killed because you didn't go the right way, or you didn't spawn the right enemies, because you can spawn enemies if you're paying attention. It's awesome. That game is great. People are thinking I'm full of shit. No, it's really good. It's actually much better than the arcade versions, but it's rough. It's a rough game. Bionic Commando, that takes a long time to learn how to do the grappling hook correctly, and then, you know, once again, no passcodes. That seems to be just this thing. There's no real passcodes on some of these games that are just long adventure games that you have to restart with nothing. Yeah, so you have to, every time you start the game, you have to get your continues up. You have to build your guy up from grinding experience to little bullet points. And then you have to sit there and try to play and figure it out, all these levels and stuff, and all, you know, what combination of items you need for each level. A lot of times people didn't know that you could, if you picked the wrong shit for the level, like you didn't have a rocket launcher when you needed it, you could actually get out of the level. I don't even remember how to do it. I know you can get out of the level though. And so people just thought that you would screw it up and be done. But no, Bionic Commando is it's a really good game. It's really damn good. So that's my, like, what, 10 through 20 of the hardest games. Now these rest ones is like, who really gives a shit? Contras without the code, it's tough, it's doable. You just gotta play it a lot. What makes that a lot easier is, you know what, those games are freaking awesome. They're really good, and you just keep playing them. And then a lot of times, if you've been playing with the code for years and years and years, if you just went back and played without the code, you'd be surprised how far you could get. You just said the code's like a crutch that you probably don't need. Now, T42, it's just really damn long. Deadly Towers, you need to draw out maps and memorize shit. As your guy gets better and starts getting items, it gets a whole lot easier. People think this game's like really impossible. No, it's just your guy really sucks at the start. Double Dragons, those games they're cheap and they're tough. A lot about Double Dragon 1 is like learning how to get your elbow thing as fast as you can. You want to have elbow by, like, when you get to the Bobos on level 3. And so a lot of it's about, you know, okay, well, I could jump kick every enemy, but I'm not getting much experience doing it. A lot of it's like in the first area, just punch. You get more experience for just punching them. Double Dragon 2 is just, it has terrible jumping controls, and they want you to do platforming. It's just, and it's long, so you get to like level 6 or whatever, and you get disciplining Mega Man platforms, but you got Double Dragon jumps. It's uncruel in that regard. As far as fighting the enemies, it's fun. Now these right here are the games that I collected, hard-ass games, but I haven't beaten them. And so I put them in the order of what I think they would cause me the most trouble. Dude, this gauntlet has 100-something levels over, like, what is it, 5 or 6 worlds? And it does have a passcode. You would have to keep multiple passcodes, save scum, to make sure you're getting far, make sure you're doing things right. And I think you need to get secret hidden goodies and levels and stuff like that in certain ones. It looks really rough. And then when you get back to, I don't know if you played Gauntlet, but you get to the area with all of the little treasures, like a bonus level, you have to find the exit real fast. If you don't find the exit, you don't get your life back. And so your life just keeps going down and down and down all the time. And so it's very important that you actually get it. So this stupid barbarian here is probably just too damn slow to run through the level to get to the exit if he doesn't know immediately where it is, and it's random. I've heard Starship Hector is stupidly hard. Hudson games are fun. They're rough, but I've heard it's really rough. I've heard Adventure Island, I think the world's 8-3. It's supposed to be one of the hardest damn levels in, like, video games, period. That's why I can't remember. I think it's 8-3, Kitty. I think it's 8-3. But I've heard, all I hear is how hard it is. Indiana Jones is one of those where the fuck do I go games. It had good music, but everything else with the game sucks. And I heard it's rough. I heard it's real rough. If you don't get the random thingies that you think you need to go, they'll put you in a level loop where you're just going back and forth between the levels over and over again. This is a Famicom game, Takanishi's Castle or Challenge. I'm not sure which one. I think it might be called both things. That would be a game which you want to use a walkthrough. It's really, really cryptic once you want to do. It's up there. It's considered one of the hardest games on NES. And but I never actually got around to playing it. if I did it today, I would do it on EverDrive. But I actually got the game. A lot of Famicom games are pretty cheap. Dragon's Lair, do I even need to talk about it? Just play that shit for 5 minutes. You'll see why it's considered hard as hell. You just would probably need to memorize every freaking thing and every position and thing you need to do. That seems to be all that game is. And just be extremely patient. Abadox is like a really rough shooter. I don't know much about it. I played a little bit. It was fun. Double Dragon 3 is shit, and you only have like one guy. I mean, just try to do, I think Double Dragon 1 at one man seems goofily hard. Maybe this game is something that's like front-loaded in difficulty. A lot of these things that you think receive real hard, once you get them figured out, they're not. Maybe that's how that is. But, you know, it's rough. And honestly, it's not very good. A lot of these, well, some of these games are good, but some of them are very, very, very not good, and just kind of get disinterested, you know, once you feel like you've done what you needed to do. And I have all of these. I still have plenty of games here. They're shit for the most part. Ultima, it has some of the best town and intro music in like all of NES games. But dude, that combat with the enemies where it's either hit or miss is like 50% chance of miss. You have to time it to the animation. That game, it's terrible. You can't run from enemies. Once you're in the fight, you got to fight them. A lot of cryptid shit, a lot of time wasted, and a lot of classes that don't seem to do anything. They seem to suck. Life Force is just, I guess it's Gradius, but better. I haven't really played too much of Gradius. I like it, though. I like it. And I've not played much Life Force at all, other than that it seems to be 2 players at once. That would be freaking awesome. But so there's some of my games that I have not really played through. But they're like, I consider them hard. And I think here's some more. Beetle, it's a LJN. Well, it's Rare made it, but LGN was the publisher or whatever. It's really fucking rough. I've always liked it. Even though it's janky and stupid. Just some Rare games are like that. Back to the Future is, of course, shit. Another LGN disaster piece. Fester Quest, I would assume that if I put in some time, it wouldn't be that hard. A lot of it's just going to have to get used to. You're a game that, you know, really didn't take much of advantage of the Blaster Master engine or whatever it is. Really didn't understand it. I mean, I could do it. I just don't really care to. I heard of Ryguard's real hard. What I played was fun. It's just like, where do you go? I don't know. And I bet Batman's not as hard as people are making it out to be. I bet you I could go through that pretty quick. You just know when to punch and know when to shoot your weapons. I bet you that's all you do. And then I think I was already doing pretty good at the wall jumping stuff. And now I think the next list here, these are games that I just also have for a Nintendo, but I don't consider them super hard. Or I might have beat some of them not having. Tiger Haley's pretty easy. Metroid's difficult. It's fun. Jackie Chan's, that game's god amazing. Everybody should have Jackie Chan. It's freaking great. When I sat down to do Batman Return of the Joker, I did it in one play. When I actually sat down to play it and beat it. Guerrilla War is freaking amazing, especially when you're 8 years old and, you know, you die all the time. The game has unlimited continues. Just keep dying and playing. Mickey Mouse Capade is pretty damn fun. It's, you know, I can't remember. I think there's a lot of walking about not knowing what you're doing, but it's pretty short too. It's great. I always thought that game, I had some sort of, I guess it's like, what was it, a Mandela effect, where I thought that Minnie could be controlled by player 2, but apparently not. There's a thing where you have to get a star, I think, when she could shoot a star as well. I think it's in the first world. It's already have baseball I got for Jerry. I got the Mario Brothers for Jerry too. Oh, I want to play Mario Bros, man. I was okay. We'll play it. I haven't played Mario 2 in a long time, but that game is pretty fun. Mr. Punk wanted me to get this. I did, and I played through with Jerry like a long time back in the day, and yeah, that was pretty damn fun. Thanks, man. I liked that game. I didn't go back and play it again, but I really liked it. I didn't notice that I missed Transformers. That would probably be into my second tier of like hard NES games. It's hard, but once you figure it out, it's not that hard. Especially if you just, you know, spam. You could just gain one up, man. If you know where to just spam your guy. Star Tropics is surprisingly difficult. it's long, and it has a bunch of cryptic ass puzzle bullshit. And if you rented the game, you didn't have the, put the water in the, there's like comes with a paper or whatever that you're supposed to put in the water with a secret code on it. That's a cool gimmick or whatever, but, if you didn't have the paper, you wouldn't know what to do. And I think there's another thing where you have to play a musical piano or whatever. You need to know tone music, and I don't know tone music. It was really hard. Some cryptic puzzles on top of some little bit of trial error. It takes a long time to learn how to jump through the tiles and stuff like that. 10-yard fight sucks. Jerry wanted it. DuckTales is freaking awesome. Jerry wanted that too, so I get him to play DuckTales. Simon's Quest, I just got it because I loved that game back in the day. A lot of these games I never picked up any more Zeldas or like Final Fantasies. This used to be some of my favorite games, but I'm just wouldn't be interested in playing them these days. Mega Man 2 is freaking great. It's one of the best games ever made. Mario 3 same way. Strider sucks, but I had a lot of fun with it back in the day. Faxanadu, I remember beating it a long, long time ago. I bet you if I went through and do it now, it'd probably be pretty damn rough. Got Galaga for Drew. And Mega Man 3, because Mega Man 3 is just so damn fun, too. It's pretty hard, but it's really fun. And that's my complete NES collection. And I'm not really a collector. I haven't really gotten anything since, like, I think 2013 or 14. Well, I mean, once you go EverDrive, in my opinion, you just don't go back, because it has all the benefits of emulation, because you have pretty much everything. And then, also it just runs everything. You just leave the EverDrive disc in there. I don't have to put them in little baggies the way I got them to make sure they stay clean. And you could get to rare shit. Like, I want to one day play through the actual Famicom version of Mario Brothers 2. Not the All-Star. Maybe I played the All-Star. I don't know. But that game would be like $50 or some shit. Or you needed to get the dang disc drive, Famicom disc drive, and that shit doesn't really work. And all this stuff you'd have to go through. Well, you just load it up and EverDrive and play it. But yeah, I was used to be a collector. I never wanted to collect too much stuff because I got a history of hoarding in my family, and I can't be having a bunch of shit that I'm not going to use. So if I collecting, I don't do. But I had a lot of fun with these NES games over the years. Right now, I've never really played much in the past couple of years, but it's all, I've got it all hooked up, ready to go. Could record anything anytime I want to. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this. Maybe let me know in the comments, like, what's your hardest game you've ever played. Yeah, I'd like to hear that. Thanks.